Anyway, welcome to the ION part of the agenda, or ION part of the programme. ION is a series, or IONs are a series of technical conferences that are organised by the Internet Society. We do this in various places around the world, usually around 4 each year, and we decided for one of these this year that we would co-locate with RONOG. So we'd like to thank the RONOG people for kindly agreeing to host us here in Bucharest. We're very pleased to be here, and hopefully we can relate a lot of the technologies and internet standards development activities that we're involved with, but hopefully also the Romanian internet community can be involved with as well. So, I had this question already several times since I've been here. So what exactly is Internet Society? Well, just to be clear, just to introduce myself and my colleagues. So I'm Kevin Meynell. I'm working for the Internet Society Global. So you'll also have a number of national chapters as well that you'll see and hear about. There's one in Romania. My colleague Jan Zorj is sitting there, and my other colleague Dan York is also working for the Internet Society Global. So what we are a global organisation of members, chapters and partners that aims to promote the open development of the internet for the benefit of everybody. That's why we're here. This takes a form of encouraging open development of standards, protocols, and also in terms of internet governance as well. We're here to provide reliable information about the internet. We had a very interesting discussion earlier today on the benefits of IPv4 and IPv6. That's one of the things we aim to be involved with. But also to lead the lead discussion of issues that affect internet evolution and developments. And then we also have a role in encouraging growth of the internet in developing countries for education and training. That's less applicable in Romania, but that's something that we do in other parts of the world. And then generally encouraging participation in internet administration, internet governance, internet developments. So we sort of have these three strands, policy, technology, development, which all intertwine. You'll probably be pleased to know we're not going to talk too much about policy here. We're here to talk about technology. But this is just so you're aware that we cover all these areas within the organisation. ISOC was founded in '92 by Vint Cerf and Bob Kahn, who I think pretty much everyone is aware of. And we are an international not-for-profit organisation. We are the organisational home of the IETF, so we're there to provide support to that organisation. And as I mentioned, we're a global organisation. We have a global presence. There's more than 110 chapters worldwide, including in Romania. 80,000 members and supporters, 135 plus organisational members. And then we also have 6 regional bureaus to support the work that we do around the world. There is a European bureau that's operating out of Brussels. And in terms of the number of countries we actually physically based in, this figure is probably actually slightly incorrect. I think we're closer to 26 countries from where we're operating. Not sure if we have offices in all of those, but there's certainly staff in all of those countries. So primarily we're here though for the Deploy360 programme, which is an initiative of the Internet Society, and it's under the programme under which the ION conferences are organised. So just to give a very short overview of that, the idea behind this is that the IETF creates protocols based on open standards, but these are often not known or widely deployed, sometimes for good reasons, but other cases it's a lack of awareness. So about 4 years ago, when this initiative was set up, it sort of became clear that people were looking for sort of clear and concise information about how to utilize the IETF standards and how to deploy these. So Deploy360 was an approach to basically try to provide hands-on information about IPv6, DNSSEC. Those were the two technologies that we initially focused on. And we've extended that to trying to promote or deploy, more widely deploy TLS, and also improve the security of the BGP routing system as well. So what we do, we go out and work with the sort of early adopters of these technologies, and we create technical resources, which we available sometimes. Well, we put these on the internet, on our website, but we also go out with these ION conferences. We also go out to other NOG events to discuss these case studies, provide practical information on how to deploy these technologies. So we currently have 3/4 members within the team. I already introduced one of my colleagues there. Dan is actually not formally part of Deploy360 team, but he works with us very closely. He was formerly a member. He's now in the communications team, but he works closely with us as well. We have another colleague who's not here for this event, Megan Cruz, who actually normally organises these ION events. I already touched on a number of these areas in which we engage with the community. The main one, of course, is a web portal. We also have a blog on technologies or interesting developments in technology, which you can read on Facebook and Twitter. We've got some videos up on our YouTube channel as well. We do speaking engagements as well, so although this is an ION conference, this is something that we organise, we also get invited to quite a lot of network operator groups. Jan, in particular, goes out to those groups and talks and provides the benefit of his wisdom from down the years. And as I already mentioned, the ION conferences. So if you're interested, this is the URL of the web portal. I won't go into this too much detail, but we also aim to try to give content specific to these 5 or 6 main categories. So obviously network operators is perhaps a key one, but we're also looking to target developers and content providers, manufacturers of consumer equipment, and enterprises as well. So you go there, you can find information on specific to your specific interest. Dan, I think, is going to talk a bit more about this. One thing we do is also we keep a track of where DNSSEC is being deployed. This isn't just based on statistical information, but also on what we call observed information, so where we know that a TLD has enabled DNSSEC. We see a news report, or we hear something that also goes into the data store. And from this, we produce these DNSSEC maps, which chart the progress of deployment of DNSSEC. So that's the sort of state of play at the moment, but I think Dan will talk about that in more detail in the next presentation. Another thing we work on is best current operational practices. So again, this is the sort of, we're trying to collate all the sort of word of mouth information that people talk about, you know, in halls and in meetings and just inside of head, in the bar sometimes. And what we're trying to do is trying to write all this down and produce what we call BCOPs. This is not our view of the world. These are community driven, community written, community vetted. We're just there to help try to facilitate that process. So it's very much driven by the community. And these number of BCOPs have been produced in different regions of the world. These get periodically reviewed by the global engineering community. So it's very much documents that reflect the real world, not something that we've produced sort of in isolation. The two sort of really active BCOP groups, the one in North America, the NANOG one, that's actually chaired by our former colleague, Chris Grundemann. Perhaps the most applicable one to this region is the Right BCOP Task Force. Again, my colleague, Jan Zorsch, is one of the chairs of that. To give you an idea of the type of BCOPs that have been produced, but we actually had a big session, I think about a month ago, where we sat down with a number of people from the community in a room for, I think it was 3 days, and churned out about 5 of these, which I've still got to write up, but hopefully those will be available before the RIPE meeting in a couple of weeks' time. There are activities in other regions, less applicable for here, but it's just to give you an idea that this is a global initiative. We're always looking for involvement. We're always looking for new ideas for BCOPs. If you're interested in starting a BCOP effort, please see our website. That also applies to the Deploy360 website. Again, this is, we want this to be community-driven. It is community-driven. We really need to engage with the industry professionals to help create this content. If you have materials, if you'd like to produce materials, we'd be very grateful for that. We're very happy to credit you, put that up on the website. So the types of things we're looking for are tutorials, guides, how-tos, reports, white papers, developer libraries, links to useful tools, case studies we're always interested in. These things are very helpful to us. Also, again, we actually don't have any Romanian content on the website at the moment. If anybody would be interested in translating into Romanian, then that would be great too. The ION conference is already touched upon. In the interest of time, I'll skip this slide, but we have 3 or 4 of these per year. So I think there are people from not just Romania in this room, so if you are interested in hosting an ION, please get in touch. So, to today's agenda. So it's a pretty full agenda. Hopefully we'll get through it all. But we're starting up with some information about DNSSEC. So my colleague Dan York will be talking about deploying DNSSEC. Then we have a case study, a local case study from the RoTLD, the local CCTLD. My colleague will then be talking about his experiments and practical experiments with deploying Dane using the Let's Encrypt CA. We've got a short presentation after the break on what we call manners and the Routing Resilience Manifesto. So this is about collaborative security in the routing system. Then we move into IPv6. Okay, why do we need IPv6? Why should you use IPv6? We actually heard the case for why you should use IPv4, so we'll put in the opposite case forward this afternoon. Then we have an interesting panel discussion, which I thought there was already quite a lot of debate downstairs at lunch over this. So this is an opportunity to ask some questions to the esteemed panel. And then finally, just a short overview of what's happening at the IETF and whether you should get involved. So with that, I'll move into the first presentation of the ION. And I'd like to invite Dan York up to discuss DNSSEC. So Dan is a senior content strategist. He's working in the communications department at the Internet Society. But he is formerly our colleague, and he formerly worked a lot on Deploy360, so he's very well versed in the subject. So with that, I hand over to you, Dan.